Olivia from Product School, and we're so excited to host you across 13 hands-on AI workshops. Quick context on who we are. Product School is the learning platform for AI builders. We offer live online training taught by AI product leaders who ship AI for a living every single day. Everything you see over this week is a taste of what our members get. 10 live AI certifications, over $50,000 worth of AI tools, weekly live AI workshops, an in-person ProductCon ticket to either San Francisco, New York, or London, access to our full catalogue of on-demand content, and an exclusive alumni community of product professionals who are all actually building. Product School is where product people become AI builders. A few of our most popular courses are Claude Code for PMs, where you run Claude Code like your own engineering team, Vibe Coding, where you build and ship real products end-to-end with AI evals, so you can define what good actually looks like for your AI Product Management, our most popular course, applying AI across the whole development cycle, and our brand new course, Agentic Workflows and Loops, where you orchestrate a fleet of agents running your product work around the clock. And 5 more. New cohorts start every week. One more thing before we get started. This week only, we're offering $1,000 off all our courses. That runs from Monday, August 3rd through to Friday, August 7th. Again, that's $1,000 off all our courses this week only. Simply enroll at productschool.com. Now let's get into it.
Most PMs are using AI. Few have let it change how they work. That's the split right now. PMs who prompt and PMs who ship. The fastest teams aren't better staffed. They're better led by PMs who build instead of brief. And that's where Product School comes in. Product School is the learning platform for AI builders. We offer live courses, small cohorts, taught online by AI product leaders, shipping at Google, Meta, Amazon, and Netflix. Acquire the skills of a real AI builder. Claude Code for PMs, prototype, analyze, and ship before a ticket is written. Vibe Coding. Build end-to-end applications from a prompt, no engineering background required. Agentic Workflows and Loops. Product management for the agentic era, from loop design to production trust. AI evals. Build the pipelines that make non-deterministic AI trustworthy enough to ship at scale. AI product strategy for leaders. Build roadmaps and contextual moats that separate serious AI products from stalled pilots. 10 certifications total, from foundation to expert level. Access to $50,000 worth of AI tools, exclusive AI workshops, conference ticket, on-demand content, and more. This week only, $1,000 off all our courses. The builders who move now are the ones who lead. Offer only valid during AI Builder Week.
All right, and we're live. What's up, Product School? My name is Damir. I'm head of AI at Miro, head of product AI. I own our overarching AI strategy and some of the products we're shipping right now. And today I get the pleasure to give you a bit of an insight about how we at Miro believe about how AI can accelerate teams. So this session will be really much more focused about AI multiplayer collaboration across the end-to-end product development lifecycle. I assume a problem many of you on a daily basis face a lot. We face it a lot as well. And in this session, I want to give you a bit of a walkthrough about some of the thinking we have around some slideware, some of the problems that we at Miro are seeing, especially come up in the collaborative space. And then I want to build just flat out with you 2 use cases that we at Miro use a lot that I think are very representative to the end-to-end PDLC cycle, but also some general AI project alignment issues that people are seeing, especially for large cross-functional projects. So this will be the focus of the session. At the end of it, I'll also give you some very practical insights about where to take it from here and how to get started with AI in Miro. So let me just walk you a bit through some slideware to give you just a bit of context about what we at Miro have found out over the past few months. So to lead with a bit of data here, we at Miro, we actually commissioned Forrester last year to talk with 518 product engineering and design leaders across the industry to give us a gut check about how the industry is evolving right now and what are the biggest problems people are facing right now. And what we found in the data is something that most of you probably subjectively have experienced on a daily basis a lot. 75% of these leaders we spoke with is that they observed just on a practical basis that most AI products focus very well on individual productivity, but team productivity actually halts. And we're seeing in our data, not only is team productivity stagnating, it is even slowing down the more individual productivity is going up. And I'm sure many of you have anecdotes like this on a daily basis where somebody gives you a perfectly polished, prototype that is vibe coded, or a new dashboard or some sort of strategy document that makes perfect sense on the surface and looks incredibly well polished. but that person maybe has missed some critical context. So all that saved time is now completely evaporated. So there are two big problems we're seeing with AI right now. One of the things is that AI massively amplifies misalignment. If your org was misaligned before, you can be damn sure that AI will actually accelerate that misalignment and create the situations where everybody's running on the spot faster than ever, but they don't feel like things are moving at a great decision. And the second thing that we're seeing a lot is as well, creation scaled, but decisions have not scaled. We're seeing a lot that the decision makers in the room, the PMs, the senior folks, the engineering managers, the leaders, or generally anybody who's willing to take ownership and drive these things, are really becoming the organizational bottlenecks. And this obviously heavily directly correlates to burnout and things like that. So we're realizing misalignment and the inability to scale decision making with AI are truly the problems we want to tackle here. So we're seeing this is the most urgent problem in organizations today, and we want to show you how we at Miro think how we can contribute to solving this and what you can build to get this fixed. The core insight of this is that most AI tools actually don't have a shared surface that you can use and work around with. Everybody has their individual Claude setups. Everybody has their individual setups where they for themselves work, but that just lives on your local machine. There is no shared surface, and we believe that the agentic canvas is the solution to this. So what the hell is the agentic canvas? Let me explain to you in a few basic things that we have shipped in our product. The first thing is our agentic sidekicks. Agentic sidekicks are basically Miro's takes on first-party agents in the Miro canvas that can work with you alongside the board. Many of you have probably tried them out already. They're basically this side panel we have as most products. But the beautiful thing about sidekicks, and I'll show you a demo right now in a second, is sidekicks essentially are agents that can read and write into the canvas in a lossless way. So whereas in Claude or other products, they create like one-off artifacts, sidekicks can actually create slides, document, prototypes, and stage them in a canvas where everybody can see them. So the work that you're doing with AI is shared into a shared surface, not just within your own local Claude repository. The second thing we have at Miro is a super cool capability, which we call Flows. Some of you know already these node-based workflow automation tools. Flows is a very, very unique way of how we at Miro believe with it, where you can essentially automate workflows with artifacts on a shared canvas. Most of the demos I will show you today are basically flows where we're taking a variety of inputs and we're automating simple workflows to create artifacts like roadmaps, stakeholder shareouts, prototypes, but generally artifacts that are really, really powerful on a day-to-day basis, things that you often use in a repetitive manner. So these are flows really powerful for automating repetitive workflows. Third, really foundational to what we're seeing with all the AI work are connectors. Connectors are just the bread and butter of AI work today. If your product can't effectively pull context from Granola, your Google Drive from Jira, it is pretty much useless. And we invested a lot of effort at Miro in the past few months to bring connectors into the game. And one thing that sounds like a bit of a kind of like obvious thing, but I think it's really important for people to understand that Miro can do this. Miro supports all agent-friendly formats, CSVs, MD files, Mermaid files, anything that an agent would export to you as a raw output. You can just drag and drop into Miro, and Miro with like zero latency will translate them into artifacts you can directly work with. And I'll show you a lot of examples around that below. Enough talking, let's jump into the use cases. So I want to walk you through two use cases, two flows that I think are super cool and will give you a good starting ground to get working with this. The first use case is a end-to-end PDLC automation. So basically from unstructured feedback that maybe you get from your research team that you maybe pulled from Claude directly to a final prototype. Let me give you the broad strokes of this flow, then let me show you the next one, and then we will build it together and run it end to end. So in this flow, what you're doing is hypothetical scenario, you are a product leader at some artificial travel company, some sort of travel stay company, where you have a pretty classic results landing page, and your results landing page is not effectively converting. So what I want to do with you, we want to build an automation that can take the actual prototype, the actual live version of this website, inputs we get from other sources, and create an automation that will generate for us automatically a backlog of high priority tasks, medium priority tasks, and low priority tasks that we can work through, but then actually generate a strategy out of it that we can then translate into a shareholder stakeout, but into a shareholder share out, but then also directly generate the new improved versions of this prototype based off the feedback that we have been getting, right? That this is something super practical that you can run on a monthly basis just if you pull your latest CSV data or if you get new insights from your research team, and you can just run with it. So I'll show you in a second how that looks. And the second use case I want to walk with you through is a really powerful use case where we want to show you how you can use connectors to pull in scattered information from many, many different systems into a Miro board and create collaborative workshops that allow you to align stakeholders around it. So a very, very common problem that we see at Miro right now is that cross-functional alignment is becoming the primary bottleneck when working with teams. It's very easy to push work forward individually, but the second you need to align with cross-organizational functions like marketing, go-to-market, product engineering, design, work gets really, really hard. So in this automation, I will show you how you can take information from Slack, directly put it through connectors into a structured table like this, saving you honestly hours of Slack thread synthesis. Pull information, scattered information from Confluence pages or whatever knowledge-based system you use into a unified timeline that you can use, and then for free generate with AI a workshop for you directly with all the pulled information to get this going. So those are the two big use cases I'm going to walk with you through. Later, when you look at the recording, you can also take this a bit slower. But let's start building the first use case. So our travel stay company. Back to the prototype, this was the prototype, or this is the website we're trying to improve. And I want to do quickly two things. I want to drop a few documents onto the canvas. Let me quickly drop them in here. And Miro will immediately ask me, in this case, with a CSV file, what to do. So since I'm dropping a CSV file, I would like to convert it to a Miro table. And let's look at the files that we have just dropped into the canvas here. So the first thing we're seeing here is this is just a raw export of a CSV table. You can actually also, just to show you up here, you can also just take the Google Drive file and directly embed it on the canvas. Some of you folks maybe don't know, but you can just embed directly any third-party artifact that is in another product into a Miro canvas, and we can read that context when working with AI directly. But in this use case here, I have a simple CSV dump that I have put on the canvas that is giving me general NPS information. So imagine you pull at the end of the month your NPS data and you want to analyze it. So that's the first thing we have dropped here. The second thing we have dropped here are a set of PDF artifacts that you can see here. What are these PDFs about? Now, these PDFs are basically insights reports that user researchers have given us. So my user researchers came back with a bunch of PDFs that we can take a look at, and they give us a good understanding or like some qualitative analysis where people within this discovery page are getting stuck. So true qualitative insights a researcher has created for me that I can pull together here. And last but not least, what we also pulled into this here is a strategy document. Now, to give you an example, this is a strategy document that I previously created in Claude. So I worked with Claude on the strategy document. It's an MD file, and I exported it. Don't think that we at Miro don't do this, right? We also often start in Claude or in other products and then bring these artifacts into a shared place where you can work with them directly. So let's get back to the flow and let's start wiring up this flow and start running it. So how would I like to set this flow up? Just to give you a rough idea here. So the first thing I would like to do in my flow is in this table set here. So you can see that I created a little prompt here that just synthesizes a few different inputs. It will take the product we're trying to optimize, the NPS survey data, and the user research reports that we've given it. And I've prompted a few simple rules on how to break this information down. So all that I have to do right now as a user is I take this table, I take this little ear here, connect it to this table as an input, and I take the PDF documents I have here. Let me wrap them in a frame and connect this frame also to this table. So this is pretty much flows. You can think of flows as a UX paradigm where you just take inputs on the canvas, you connect them to input, and from there on, you can run that automation. The second thing I would like to do in this flow, to give you a rough understanding, is once I have pulled this information here, I would like to synthesize it into some sort of set of individual initiatives we can run, right? You can't run through everything within your backlog, so you want to have a few thematic schemes. Now, to make sure these thematic schemes are aligned with our company strategy, I would take the company strategy I just put in here, and I would just feed that as input. So flows allow you to do a very mechanical and practical way of how you define context for your LLM on defining. So let me run this flow, and while this flow is running, I can explain to you a few things in the background how it's running. So let me select the node, and let's just hit the run button, and now you will see that the flow is triggering off and starting to execute. So to quickly recap what just happened here, I took a set of scattered inputs, CSV data export. I'm not even bothering to look at it. I'm just letting AI do the dirty work for me and kind of like translating this information. The second thing I connected is actually the prototype. Very important, Miro's canvas fully supports visual context processing. So if you upload a prototype or an image of a website, we can actually process that content and just pass it on to the LLM, and it will process the content for you. So this is not some sort of prototype that the agent will not understand. It can semantically understand the prototype and then create variants out of it. And the other thing we have done is we have just connected a frame with a bunch of PDFs. And here, again, Miro will automatically take the context of that frame, pass it on to the downstream LLM. So if you just have a frame with 10 PDFs on it, we will automatically pass that stuff. So this is a pretty cool visual way of how you can take context, pass it downstream to an LLM, and have it process it. What we have learned at Miro is, especially when working with senior stakeholders, we saw one of the biggest values of this is that people suddenly see what context is used for what AI automations. And especially when you do things like vendor analysis or competitor analysis, when bringing stakeholders in to understand the AI-generated results you've created, being able to give them a visual stack trace of what the content is you have generated is incredibly valuable. And we see it daily with senior stakeholder alignment sessions, is that when they can actually understand how the AI came to its result, it creates so much more trust. So the flow keeps running, and we see the first artifact was just generated. So let's take a look at what this has generated, and let's quickly talk over what you're seeing here. So basically, it has broken this out for me automatically into high and medium tasks. It has clustered them by themes. It has given me problem statements, evidence, prioritization, whatsoever. So a pretty thorough backlog already I can work with. But most of you, or some of you maybe not know how powerful Miro is in that way. Miro basically allows you to basically turn these tables into full-blown other views, right? Whether it's a Kanban view, a timeline view, a table view. So you have a true data set here with which you can work with, and essentially treat this as your backlog. And next month, when you have more data, you essentially just rerun this flow, and it will automatically update for you. The second step that is now happening is we're taking these insights here, we're taking the strategy below, and we're asking it to please now create this thematic document that will generate a new strategy, and then from there on create stakeholder shareouts. Now, while this is running similar like in a cooking show, let me go you to like a version I cooked before, because these things do take a few minutes when automating them. And let me show you the result that has been generated here. Specifically, you see it has created a very nice document for me that essentially breaks out all these things into thematic programs. Program 1, Program 2, Program 3, that are heavily aligned with the strategy I just uploaded for it. So basically, within one click, I have gotten a direct improvement plan heavily aligned with the company's strategy. And as a last step out of this, I'm doing two things. The first thing is I'm just creating a stakeholder share out. One of the things that obviously consumes so much time is like pixel polishing slide deck for stakeholders. In this case here, I've just given a relatively simple prompt. You can actually delete all the style information. It's not even critical, because in Miro, we do support now themes for your brand. So if you have a company brand, you can just use it in the slide generation. And essentially, I'm asking it like, hey, create a slide deck from this product improvement plan. Very simple structure, and once you start executing it, it will just give you a very lightweight slide deck that you can walk through with your stakeholders. Very, very helpful, because basically you can just wake up one morning, run this automation automatically, wake up and just read back to yourself a booking plan, improvement plan, rather than having to do all this work manually. And last but not least, what we're doing is we're actually taking this improvement document and asking it to generate new variants of the prototype. So here I'm basically asking it, hey, use this attached product improvement plan and take program 1 for travel stay and create an updated version. And what you can see here is that it's actually taking these suggestions and directly in the canvas generating for me 3 alternative prototypes that implement different variants of that. So basically, we covered the full end-to-end life cycle from very messy, unstructured data that you throw into a canvas into something more structured that you can actually work with, a structured table. You can obviously export it back as a CSV. You can put it back into Claude. You can work with it. But it's also something that your team can collaboratively work with and align with. It's nothing like in your local Claude as a CSV. It's an actual roadmap you can work with people. We then took it to create an improvement plan. And out of that improvement plan, we're creating rich artifacts, such as a slide deck or actual prototypes that you can work with, right? And now you can imagine how you could just spin that further. take these prototypes, ask it to automate Jira tasks out of it, send these Jira tasks directly to an agent to pick them up, and get these things implemented. So really powerful ways. I think the key thing I want you to take away from this is, and is that mindset shift I would most of you to have is, this is something my whole team can now use. This is not anything that sits locally in my machine. My engineering manager, my IC engineer, my designer can come in here and start riffing of this thing and iterating of this. And we're building like a collective understanding of how to use AI to kind of like automate mundane regular tasks, but also create streamlined ways of working for your respective teams. We think this is pretty cool, and we would love to understand, see how you use these more. Let me show you a slightly more modern use case, or a use case where I would say that really tackles this problem of AI accelerating misalignment faster. Let's look at the reality of work. Let me quickly open up my side panel here and show you how the reality of work is, right? The reality of work for most people is essentially that there's just like a bunch of scattered updates in Slack that people are supposed to make sense of, right? So first of all, updates just land in Slack and nobody can be bothered at the speed at which things are going on right now to read all this stuff. The other thing is, very often in cross-functional projects, you will encounter scenarios where product engineering might track the progress in one board, right? And they maybe have somewhere dates on when they think they can achieve stuff. But maybe customer support has it somewhere else. They have a different board, completely different structured. They have their timelines somewhere written within the document. So the information about where the project is and like what the timelines are is out there. But probably most of you operate like human metadata, copy pasters, by going to Slack, reading it, synthesizing it, putting it in the table. This flow here does all of that for you. So let me just run it, and then while it's running, explain to you what's happening. Let me hit run, because this can take a minute, but shouldn't take too long actually for this flow to execute. What are you seeing in this flow here? Super simple prompt. All I'm asking it is to please pull all activity from the last 7 days from this respective Slack channel. In Miro now, you have a connector section below where you can see all the available connectors to your Flow node or to your Sidekick that you can just directly connect. So you can see I got GitHub, Google Cal, Google Drive, Slack, and Miro Insights connected. But we have a laundry list of connectors from pretty much everything you use on a daily basis, from Granola to Incident.io, whatever. Basically, flows can now become the plumbing of your tools, pulling context outside of external systems directly into the canvas, bring this information to a shared view, and then have people work around that information together. So in this prompt, basically, I'm asking it to pull that information. One thing I want you to be aware of, because it's a really, really powerful capability. You might be wondering, how does the AI know how to structure this information? Basically, the table you define is the structure that we will pass to the LLM and make it populate. So in this case, given that I defined this table with a column called what's progressing, decision needed, timeline commitments, the LLM will automatically understand that it is supposed to find the timeline commitment information and pull it in the structure table. So in a very nice way, I basically per function now get a RAG overview of where each project stands. Is it at risk? Is it off risk? What is progressing? Where a decision needed? And basically, instead of now everybody having to spend like hours to go through the Slack thread on a Monday morning to know what's going on, we run an automation and we get an up-to-date understanding of where this is at. Now, please don't assume that this is the perfect source of truth. Obviously, like, human brains are still valuable, and you should definitely look at this and make sure it's correct. But it just saves you hours and hours of work, not just for you, but for your whole team. The second one, and I think this one is honestly pretty damn epic. Let's see actually how this is progressing. You can see the first set of information was already pulled, the Slack information, and below the timeline is still being pulled. But you can see just within a minute or so, it went through this super long Slack channel, pulled all the relevant information, and has put it in a way together that I can use it directly here. One flow failed, doesn't matter. This one we don't need anyway right now. And the second thing I'm doing here is I'm doing something very similar. Essentially, I'm asking it to pull all launch readiness data from a folder in Confluence. Now, it can be linear, it can be Notion, whatever the content management system of your choice is. But essentially, all I'm asking it, like, hey, please go out there and pull all critical timelines out of this project and structure them in a timeline view, right? Now, the key about this artifact, which I think is super important to understand, this is a source of truth that doesn't exist anywhere else. There is no single overview that took all this information and aggregated it, right? In Miro, you created directly on a shared canvas for everybody to collaborate with you on. But the nice thing about this is, as before mentioned, this is just a structured table. You can essentially start using this directly as a backlog. You can change the information. You can start assigning people to it. And you can really use this as a working artifact, not like a one-off artifact that you have to download and put somewhere. This is a living, breathing artifact we just basically put together onto the canvas here. And you see the live version is coming in right here. It is being pulled. So you saw this pretty quick. It took like 3-4 minutes. It's a pretty scattered set of information. And if I switch back to our timeline view, you will see we have a pretty neat timeline per function directly put onto the canvas. Very powerful. And you can imagine if every Monday, before getting to your team stand-up, if you just run this automation, pull all this information, you set the perfect context to just start talking about the work and not asking everybody to go through updates, right? Because honestly, like nobody wants to do it on a Monday morning to give like a verbal update about where we are. Now, the second thing we're generating here, and this is, I think, where the magic happens, is we introduced something that we at Miro dreamed of for a long time. We call it the board layout feature. The board layout feature essentially just creates workshops for you. Anything where previously in Miro, anything where you need stickies, frames, shapes to create some sort of workshops, we can now do that for you. Whether it's a retro, whether it's a stand-up, whether it's a customer map journey, doesn't really matter. So what am I doing here? I'm basically taking these two inputs. I'm taking the Slack messages, the summary of status, and I'm taking the project timeline, and I'm just asking it to do the following. Hey, use the Slack synthesis from this thing and create for me a workshop with a few things in there. I would love to have a confidence check at the bottom where I'm asking it, hey, let's just read the room first about how the project is going. I want a section about where we stand today. So take all that information, give me a kind of like executive summary of where we are today, that I can set the context for the group, a functional status by status update with stickies so we can actually wrestle around the information, any conflicts focused, and a this week's focus section for each team to align on, right? So basically, the second the session starts, everybody can add their confidence. They can be like, okay, I think we feel very confident about hitting the deadline, or we feel not confident at all. People can directly pull out concerns and flags. There is a section about functional statuses. So you can see this is the information that we pulled from here. So this is pretty powerful because now you have like tactile things people can lean into, they can react to, they can actually have an engaging conversation where everybody's leaning in and not just like falling asleep, in their seats while somebody's doing all the talking. And previously creating something like this with the actual information would have taken you long enough for you not to do it. Now with just running this flow, you automatically create a frame that just created this workshop for you. So you have the where we stand section, we have a functional sections, any conflicts that were surfaced by AI, because obviously if you have many different cross-functional teams, these timelines might add up. So here already we have a few critical timeline overlaps that have been surfaced. So legal review and campaign launch don't add up. Picks might not be ready for the campaign. We're seeing that agent training is on launch day. So we have a lot of issues here where everybody in the meeting can lean in and have a discussion around it. And you can see here, basically, this was generated. You see, this is not crazy amount of time. It's pretty fast, actually, when you generate these things. But within like a matter of 3-4 minutes, we created a pretty neat workshop board that you can start using directly with your team. But the important bit is this is a extremely and highly tailored dashboard, you see. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of people are asking, can this guy share this board with us, please? Yes, absolutely. I will share the board with you. We have, by the way, I'll talk to you in a second about what you can do from here. There are tons of great boards that you can use. But I think the key thing I want you to take away is like all the stuff that previously in Miro you would painfully do manually, like pull together like a status update in a table, yada, yada, yada. You can just ask now Connector, just pull all that stuff in. Don't even bother prompting very complicated. You can even dictate right now. So I can just be like, hey, please put in all that stuff, put it in here and pull that content. And then instead of now drawing out a frame, putting in like sections as like rectangles and then adding stickies, just ask AI to build it for you. And we actually are really working hard right now on generating very nice results when you just want a full workshop to be generated. And when I'm talking about workshop, we're talking about many, many things here, right? Just to give you a sense of what type of things we are working on, from building roadmap to synthesizing insights to planning workshops to visualizing workflows. These are all the things we plan to roll out in the coming days and weeks. So these are two use cases. I hope they resonate with you, and some of these challenges I just raised with you are some of the things you notice on a day-to-day basis. Let me quickly go back to slide and actually explain to you what to do from here. The first thing, anybody of you who is on a business or enterprise account or on a starter account actually as well, so basically if your company has Miro in one of these accounts, enterprise or business, you can already use this stuff. Flows and cyclics are already available, and connectors. What I just showed you were some of the newer features, the frame generation, the board generation. All of these things are starting to roll out for self-serve accounts next week. So we are basically in our launch week right now, and we're starting with the gradual public beta rollout next week for self-serve accounts, a little bit later enterprises, so we can also solve all their journeys. But starting next week, we're rolling out. But the most important bit is check out our AI playbooks. We have a really, really nice AI playbook section on our Miro website where we're going into great detail about how can you use Miro for things like planning and strategy, process transformation, synthesizing research, prototyping, technical architecture, really, really, really powerful use cases, and how to get going with Miro, with flows, with examples that you can directly iterate from here. So really take a look at our AI playbook section. We really care about collaborative use cases, visual use cases where you feel a little bit awkward doing it in a single player AI tool, but rather want to bring in your team so that you actually solve these issues of misalignment directly within Miro. So that's pretty much it, folks. I don't want to take more of your time. I hope those were two very, very valuable use cases on how you can use Miro to accelerate workflows within your team. My name is Damir. We are posting very, very often, regularly on LinkedIn, videos on how this thing works. We provide updates, and we provide like really live updates whenever we ship something that we think is really cool and you should know about it. We post about these things, so feel free to connect with us directly on LinkedIn or reach out to me personally. If your organization is an enterprise account and you want to get onto the beta of all these new things I just shared with you, please reach out to me directly and I'll put you in touch with our account managers so you can already start rolling out to these betas. So thanks a lot, folks. My name is Damir. I hope you have an amazing Builder Week. I know it's a pretty crazy time right now in the industry, but I think it's also a privilege that we are in the middle of the storm, so we can also shape how this industry evolves. And we're very, very curious to get your feedback. So thanks a lot, folks. Have a great Builder Week, and I can't wait to see what you're going to build. Take care. Bye.
And that's a wrap. A huge thank you to today's speaker for building live with us, and to every AI builder who showed up and built along. Your recording and resources are on their way to your inbox. And if you're registered, you're in for the rest of the week. Make sure to check out the agenda and join your favorite sessions live. And one last reminder, Product School is where product managers become AI builders. And this week only, we're taking $1,000 off all our courses. $1,000 off ends Friday, August 7. Enroll today at productschool.com. An hour shows you what's possible. A live cohort with a product leader is how it becomes the way you work. Thanks for building with us.
I'm very excited to announce the launch of our new company, Product Partners, an AI consulting firm to help product teams drive successful AI transformation. Product School continues to serve individuals through its AI training programs. Product Partners is a natural extension to help entire product teams at large enterprises navigate AI transformation through training and implementation. Same shared mission, to help companies build better products. Product Partners is not your typical consulting firm. We embed our AI product leaders and forward-deployed engineers alongside your team to actually build. The deliverable is not just a deck that never leaves the shelf. It's actually a working AI operating model and a team that is ready to harness it. And we have the strongest reputation in product. For over 12 years, we've upskilled over 1,400 product teams around the world, and we've built the largest community for product professionals with over 2 million members.